The pandemic caused by COVID-19, which began in December 2019, has had an impact worldwide. However, when carrying out this work, we will refer to the school context, how it has affected the teaching and learning process through this time. And that is how we did an investigation where we tried to see the problem and try to solve it in an integrative project, which to do so was divided into 5 stages. The implementation of the integrative project was divided into 5 different stages, which together with information obtained from the past integrative project and the new information that we will obtain with the virtual visits to the schools, we should carry out the new integrative project. The phases of creation of this first part of the project are: Phase 1. Read and analyze the problem scenario. This phase consists of identifying the specific problem that requires attention in the context in which we are. It would be to identify if there were problems with the learning strategies that were used from the last school year until this cycle, to observe what worked and what didn't work, what can be improved and what needs to be changed. It also consists of defining and observing the rights and culture in the classroom, which this time will be in a virtual context. Phase 2. Brainstorm. As its name says, this phase consists of meeting as a team and brainstorming, in which a list is made with a hypothesis that can solve the problem chosen in the previous point. In our case, being from 3 different teams, we had 3 different visions. In my case, the problem we chose was if the teaching learning strategies worked during the pandemic. The problem chosen by my colleague Sergio's team was the educational imbalance due to the pandemic and how to reduce it. And my focus companion Jimena was the school culture, how the students and teachers have changed and react to the new online culture. Phase 3. Make a list of what is known. This means that we must list everything that will help us in the realization of the integrative project, and that we already have, such as knowledge obtained, interview data, and even the same integrative project from the last semester. Everything that will help us to complement the realization of the project. Phase 4. Make a list with what is not known. Having the previous list made with everything we know, and it will help us to do our integrative project. It is necessary to make a list with everything we need to do it, which in our case will be all the information that we will obtain from the virtual visits to the schools, where we will do interviews to the teacher and the students. Phase 5. Make a list of what needs to be done to solve the problem. This last phase consists of listing everything that we will need to do the project, such as all the information obtained in the observation sessions, as well as comparing all the data obtained during this school year. Like last semester, we encountered many challenges to do the integrative project. Many of the challenges remain the same, such as the problems with the technology that still persist, the fact of having to do everything virtually and separately from each other. It makes the realization of the project more difficult. In addition to the fact that finding the necessary information was very difficult, we only had the days of the virtual visit day to ask questions and observations. The students are tired of their online classes that can go down their performance in classes. Many don't show up, and it can make it difficult for us to obtain information.
In achievements, we have the identification of the school culture in a secondary school. With each observation made to the online classes of the secondary school, we were able to identify rules, the relationship between students and teachers, and how students behave and how they feel. The approach and survey with high school students. For the identification and collection of reliable data, we asked some students questions that provide us with information from their experiences. This was an achievement since approaching students is often difficult. And finally, the approach and interview with secondary school teachers. This achievement gave us information to see the problem from another perspective. Products generated. The most important learning generated is recognizing a school culture, which is very important to know what the place is like and the people who are part of it, and to know how is the best way to communicate, to transmit our knowledge to students at the time in para class. This also has to do with knowing how a student feel because their feeling and emotion are part of how they learn and how to treat them, so that a good environment is generated and there is confidence to progress with teaching.
Meaningful learning experience. For the evaluation of the project that each one of us carried out, we were in a continuous process of data and information collection. An essential part of this was the observation days held at the Mixed Secondary School Fori, in which we were allowed to see firsthand what the environment was like during the class development, the attitude of the students towards different teachers, as well as the teaching methods used by teachers to teach the same topic to different groups. It taught us several lessons, such as if the student doesn't want to participate, there is no reason for them to do so. Forming a good teacher-student relationships creates an environment of trust, in which the students feel free to function and express themselves. You cannot use a single teaching method for all groups. It's essential to know the groups to able to plan the classes that suit their needs. To enter in class observation, some of us had the opportunity to participate in a technical council, where we were able to observe how feedback and discussion of the student situation was made, as well as the proposal of improvements and solutions, and the difficulties that arose. They met before reaching an agreement. Being our first approach to technical advice, it was a totally new experience, which left us learning. First, that the teacher must work not only in planning their classes, but also in observation the behavior of the student to identify the problems that arise. They can present and seek solution, and secondly, all the school personnel are involved in one way or another in the optimal development of the students. Questions for improvement. In this new project, there was a noticeable improvement regarding the support received from the teacher in charge of the observations. So we were able to acquire more solid and important information than the previous semester. Likewise, there was a greater learning recording that were carried out by the teacher and the obstacles that may be for the students. So there is not much to improve, except perhaps for a little more support from teachers to integrate the lessons learned from their subjects into the project.